You don't expect your marriage to fall apart over steak and candlelight. It was our anniversary. 6 years? The restaurant was nice, too nice, if I'm being honest. I'd made the reservation a month early, picked the same place we went to on our first date. She wore that green dress I always said brought out her eyes. I thought maybe, just maybe, we could patch things up. But halfway through the meal, as I was cutting into my ribeye, she put her wine glass down with a soft clink, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "You'll never be half the man my ex is." The room didn't go quiet. The music didn't stop. The world kept spinning around us like nothing had happened. But something had. Something final. I didn't speak. I didn't drop my fork or throw my napkin or storm out like a man in a movie. I just kept eating. She waited. Probably thought I'd explode, plead, crack a joke to dodge the pain like I always did. But I didn't. Because I'd heard enough in that one sentence to know there was nothing left to save. She picked a fight on our anniversary not because she was angry, but because she was testing how much I could take before I broke. She wanted a reaction. A fire. A scene. I gave her silence. And in that silence, I watched her face fall. Not with guilt. Not with regret. With realization. She couldn't hurt me anymore. Not the way she wanted to. We paid the bill in silence. Drove home with the windows down, the cold night air doing the talking. I went to bed without a word. Slept hard. Deep. And when I woke up the next morning, there were 255 missed calls on my phone. Most were from numbers I didn't recognize. 1 was from her mother. 3 from the police. And 1 voicemail that made my hands go numb. "Sir, we need to speak with you immediately. Something's happened." The screen was still lit up when I grabbed it. 255 missed calls. 13 voicemails. The first few were just her, crying, slurring, angry. The kind of voicemails you don't save. The kind you pretend never happened. Then came the voice I didn't recognize. A man. Calm, too calm. "This is Officer Dalton with the 14th Precinct. We need you to come down as soon as possible regarding an incident involving your wife. It's urgent." I sat there on the edge of the bed, still in the clothes I wore the night before, staring at the wall like it could explain something to me. Anything. I didn't wake up expecting chaos. I expected her to be gone, maybe sulking in the guest room or out for an angry morning drive. Not this. I opened the last voicemail. It was from her mother. "She's in trouble. Please call me back. She said you didn't answer her. She said something about her ex. About a fight. She's not thinking straight." That's when my pulse started pounding. Her ex. The one I was just compared to across the dinner table. The ghost she kept dragging into our bed, our arguments, our story. I called the precinct. They told me she was being held for questioning. That she'd been picked up in the middle of the night outside a downtown bar, shoeless, screaming, and covered in blood. That stopped me cold. I asked the only question I could get out. "Is she hurt?" The officer paused. "Not her. Someone else. We don't have details yet. But she was there." I threw on jeans, grabbed my jacket, and drove. The streets were cold and hollow, early morning light bouncing off windshields like threats. I felt the edge of something I couldn't name pressing down on me. I didn't know what happened yet. But I knew deep in my gut that this wasn't about a drunk mistake. This was bigger. Older. Planned. Because when I walked into that station and gave them her name, the officer behind the desk didn't even blink. "You're her husband?" I nodded. He handed me a clipboard, eyes tight. "You're going to want to read this. We're investigating it as a domestic dispute, but it may turn into something more." I read the statement. Line by line. And right there in black ink, signed by her own hand, were the words. "He hit him because of me. I didn't stop it. I wanted him to." And that's when I realized. She had set us both up. I read her statement 3 times before I could even process the shape of the words. "He hit him because of me. I didn't stop it. I wanted him to." At first, I thought she had been hurt. That I was walking into some tragic mistake. But no. She wasn't the victim. She was the spark. The officer handed me a second report. This one had names, times, and incident summary. Victim, Tyler Reese, her ex. Suspect, Declan Miles, me? My throat went dry. I haven't seen him, I told the officer. I haven't spoken to the guy in years. Why am I in this? He gave me a look I'll never forget, not suspicion, pity. Because she said you threatened him? She said you found out they were still seeing each other. That you warned him. That you showed up last night. I took a step back. That's a lie. He nodded slowly. That's why we're not charging anyone yet. But she's telling people a different version of your marriage than what's on record. A version where she's afraid of you. And there it was. It wasn't enough for her to wound me in private. She wanted to burn the bridge behind her. Erase me. Replace me. Rewrite the story so I was the villain she escaped, not the man she betrayed. I thought back to that dinner, to the look in her eyes when she said I'd never be half the man her ex was. I thought it was cruelty. Anger. But it wasn't. It was strategy. She didn't just want to hurt me. She wanted me out of the picture completely. Permanently. I left the station shaking. I didn't go home. I couldn't. I drove aimlessly for an hour, the inside of my chest filling with something I didn't recognize, not rage, not grief. It was exposure. Like every part of my life had been peeled back. Like my marriage had been a stage set, and the audience just watched the curtain fall. And then the final blow came. My phone buzzed. One message. From a number I didn't know. You should have stayed quiet. Now everything's mine. Attached was a photo. Her. Smiling. Sitting on the porch of my father's cabin, the one she swore she never wanted. The deed I hadn't transferred yet. The place she suddenly wanted to visit just weeks ago. She hadn't just targeted my name. She was going after everything I built. And I knew right then. She was only getting started. I parked the car in some empty lot outside a gas station. Didn't know where I was. Didn't care. The photo of her sitting at my father's cabin burned into my phone like a brand. Her smile wasn't careless, it was proud. Like she'd won. Like she was claiming the spoils of a war I didn't even know we were fighting. That cabin meant everything to me. My father's ashes are buried beneath the old oak out back. That was supposed to be ours. A retreat. A legacy. Now it was bait in whatever game she thought she was playing. I leaned back in the seat, staring at the ceiling like it might answer the one question that wouldn't leave me alone. Who was I married to? Because the woman I thought I knew, the one I carried through surgeries, the one I built a business with, the one I held when she broke down after her sister's funeral, she never would have done this. She wouldn't have lied to the police. Wouldn't have accused me of threats I never made. Wouldn't be squatting in a dead man's cabin, smiling like the world owed her something. So where did that woman go? Or worse, was she never real to begin with? Maybe I'd just been a stand-in. A safety net. A name on a mortgage and a fallback plan when her reckless choices didn't pan out. All those times I felt distance in her, the quiet phone calls, the fake apologies, the excuses about needing space, I explained them away. I was too tired. Too focused on work. I thought I was failing her emotionally. But now I saw it clearly. She had been preparing for this. Laying groundwork. Playing innocent. Waiting until she could flip the switch and make me the villain in a story she'd rehearsed without me. And the worst part? She was good at it. Because the cops believed her. Her mother believed her. Mutual friends were already going silent. As if they were waiting to see which way the wind would blow before choosing a side. I wasn't just losing my marriage. I was being erased from my own life. My phone buzzed again. This time, a message from my attorney. Short. Cold. We need to talk. She filed for an emergency order. Claims you're unstable and may try to retaliate. You've been barred from the property until further notice. I stared at the screen for a full minute before the weight of it landed. She wasn't just cutting me out. She was trying to make sure I could never come back. I closed my eyes. And in the dark behind them, I saw the next step clearly. If she wanted war, she just declared it. And I wasn't going to fight like a man begging to stay. I was going to fight like one who had nothing left to lose. War changes you. By the next morning, something inside me had hardened. Grief turned to resolve. Pain calcified into something sharp. Cold. I wasn't looking to win her back. I wasn't looking to explain. I was looking to survive the character assassination and take back what she was trying to steal. And that's when I found it. I went to my office. Thank God she hadn't touched that. It was the one place she never lingered, never pretended to care about. Just rows of files, contracts, receipts, timelines. And tucked inside an old folder labeled 2018 Financials, I found what would change everything. A binder. Her handwriting. Scribbled notes. Half-planned budgets. Timelines. Ideas. At first, I thought it was an old renovation list. But buried under a list of house projects, I found something darker. A letter. Never sent. Addressed to a man named Frank. And in that letter she spelled it all out. If things go wrong with Declan, I need leverage. Emotional stuff won't hold, he doesn't react the way I need him to. But if I can tie instability to the house, maybe use the cabin title and twist it into something unwell, then I have an angle. I'll need to move fast once it starts. Otherwise, he'll stay calm, and calm ruins everything. I sat there frozen, the letter shaking in my hands. She planned it. She studied me. Knew my temperament, my routines, how I avoided conflict and chose logic over emotion, and she built an entire strategy around making me look dangerous by contrast. And Frank? I dug. Checked old messages. Turns out he was an attorney she'd consulted. Privately. 2 years ago. Long before the anniversary dinner. Long before the false police report. She didn't fall out of love. She constructed an exit. And every time I apologized for not being enough, every time I doubted myself or adjusted to keep the peace, she was already laying the trap. I could feel the pressure building in my chest like a fuse burning fast. I took photos of everything. Scanned the letter. Called my lawyer. Sent him everything. And I said the words I never thought I'd say. I don't want reconciliation. I want protection. From her. He went quiet. Then he said, "You might have just turned the whole case." But then, before I could exhale, my phone buzzed again. A voicemail from an unknown number. I hit play. And her voice whispered through the speaker. "You think that letter will save you? You don't know what I've already put in motion." And the line went dead. I replayed the voicemail 3 times. Her voice was cold. Not angry. Not emotional. Just calculated. As if the letter I'd found wasn't a mistake, but a contingency she expected me to discover eventually. A breadcrumb in a larger trap. "You think that letter will save you? You don't know what I've already put in motion." The words echoed like a loaded gun with no safety. I sat in the office, alone, surrounded by pieces of a life I had once trusted. My name was still on the company letterhead. My wedding photo was still buried in a drawer. And yet nothing in this room felt like mine anymore. Because nothing in my life had truly been mine. Not her. Not the marriage. Not even my identity. I looked at myself in the window reflection. Hollow eyes. Tight jaw. A man not just wounded, rearranged. She hadn't just betrayed me. She had redesigned me into something she could frame. She knew my weakness wasn't violence. It was silence. And in a world that rewards spectacle, silence can be painted into guilt. That's when the change happened. I stopped reacting. Stopped asking why. Stopped waiting for truth to fix the damage. Instead, I became what she never planned for. A man unshaken. A man who knew the game now, and had no fear left to play it. I called my lawyer again. File for emergency defamation protection. Send everything to the judge, her letter, the timeline, her signature on the cabin transfer she backdated, the voicemail. He hesitated. That escalates this. Are you ready for that kind of war? I'm past ready. I've lived in a house that wasn't mine, loved a woman who wasn't real, and raised a marriage built on a script she wrote for me to lose. Now I'm rewriting the ending. The silence on the other end told me he finally understood. That night I didn't drink. I didn't sleep. I didn't spiral. I cleaned the office. Boxed up what mattered. Burned what didn't. And for the first time since that dinner, I felt something close to clarity. I wasn't trying to win her back. I wasn't trying to protect my name. I was fighting for my freedom, the kind you can't buy, beg for, or borrow. Just before midnight, a courier knocked at my door. An envelope. Inside, a court date. She was suing me for psychological abuse. And her key witness? Her ex. The same man she once called a monster. Now her star testimony. I held the envelope in my hands like it might bite. Psychological abuse. That was her final move. The masterpiece of her narrative. She turned every quiet moment, every calm reaction, every time I walked away from an argument, into proof of some deeper, more insidious cruelty. And the ex? The same man she once cried over in the middle of the night, called manipulative, unstable, a coward, now he was her key witness. Her character anchor. It wasn't just betrayal. It was orchestration. She had rewritten history with a villain's grace, and handed me the script after the play had already begun. But I wasn't the man I was 2 weeks ago. I wasn't the man at that anniversary dinner, eating in silence while she carved me up with words. That man died the moment she weaponized his silence. This man was ready to burn the whole performance down. I met with my attorney. We laid everything out like evidence in a war room. Timeline. Motive. Contradictions. That voicemail. The letter. The fake signature on the cabin deed. The documented threats. The fact that her ex, her only witness, had a restraining order filed against him just 4 years earlier. By her. I pulled up the text she once sent me about him. He's poison. I'm scared of him. If I ever go back to him, it's because I'm not thinking straight. And now she wanted him to vouch for her? She thought I'd stay quiet while she turned the man she once feared into the jury's moral compass? I wasn't staying quiet anymore. The day of the hearing came. Small courtroom. Cold light. Her lawyer was sharp, smug. She wore black, not for drama, but for image. Grieving widow of a toxic marriage. They called me to speak. Asked if I had anything to say in my defense. I didn't look at her. I looked straight at the judge. And for the first time, I told the whole truth. No rage. No pity. Just the cold, exact sequence of everything she did. What she planned. What she filed. The abuse she said she escaped, documented in her own handwriting, before she needed to pretend it never happened. And then I submitted the final page of my statement. A copy of her original police report, against her ex. Filed. Signed. Admitted into evidence. The courtroom went dead quiet. She didn't move. Her lawyer did. Leaned over. Whispered fast. But it was too late. I had stepped out of the frame she painted for me. And now she was standing in the center of her own portrait, with a brush she could no longer control. As we left the courthouse, her lawyer didn't look at me. But she did. And for the first time, she looked afraid. Not of me. But of everything that was coming next. I didn't celebrate. There were no cheers, no victory speeches, no weight lifted. Just a hallway, cold and sterile, as I walked out of the courthouse with a life that no longer resembled my own. I wasn't cleared, not officially. These things take time. But her case had collapsed in real time. The judge postponed further hearings. Her credibility? Shattered. Her key witness? Discredited by her own past. She had nothing left but silence. I watched her walk out minutes later, flanked by the same man she once swore she feared. He didn't touch her. Didn't look at her. Just walked one step ahead, like he'd already begun to disappear from her story too. She paused at the top of the courthouse steps. Looked down at me. And in that moment I saw it. Not anger. Not regret. Not even sadness. Just emptiness. She had tried to weaponize everything: love, memory, fear. She used trust like currency and thought she'd never run out. But she did. And when the truth came due, no one came to collect with her. Her friends? Gone. Her lawyer? Backed away like the floor was crumbling. And me? I wasn't there to forgive. I wasn't there to gloat. I was simply done. I turned. Walked down the steps. Felt the wind hit me harder than before. Sharper. But it carried something else, too. Clarity. Not peace. Not healing. But the finality that comes when you stop trying to make sense of a person who never existed in the first place. I didn't lose a wife. I lost a story. A version of life where I played the fool because I thought love was enough. But love isn't enough when someone's playing a different game behind your back. I got in my car. Sat behind the wheel for a long time. No radio. No calls. Just silence. Not the kind she twisted into weakness. The kind that says, "You survived." Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to help this video reach more viewers. See you in the next one.